Hey, Pastor Josh here. We're reading Genesis chapter 28, verses 10 through 22. Jacob has run away. He's been sent off by his mother, Rebekah, to go back to her homeland to find a wife. Remember, Jacob's brother Esau is not exactly thrilled with him because Jacob has stolen both Esau's blessing and his birthright. He's deceived him in both encounters in a deceitful way. And so he's running away. Esau wants to kill him. And so he has left Beersheba and he has went toward Haran, which is Rebekah's homeland, the place where he is supposed to find a wife. And Jacob came to a certain place and stayed there that night because the sun had set. Taking one of the stones of the place, he put it under his head and lay down in that place to sleep. He's just old tired. He lay down. And it's a certain place. It's just a regular old, nothing important place until God shows up there. And so he dreamed. Jacob dreamed, he slept, he dreamed, and behold, there was a ladder set up on the earth. Now, the ladder could also be seen as maybe like a ziggurat, if you know what that is. This word is actually only found here in the Old Testament Bible. It's not found anywhere else. But it could be called a ziggurat, which would be kind of it's a pyramid, one of your Egyptian pyramids with steps, and so it could be steps going up on the earth. It could perhaps be a ladder. Not exactly 100% sure, but it is something that's going to get you from the bottom, from the earth, up into heaven. So this ladder was set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. So this is a place that is connecting heaven and earth. This is something that is connecting heaven and earth, and the top is going all the way to heaven. If you remember back in Genesis 11, this was attempted by humanity to reach up into the highest heaven so that they could make a name for themselves. Here now we kind of have a reversal of it because it's not Jacob setting it up. It is God himself setting it up. It is God that is making it possible in interacting with Jacob and is actually allowing heaven, the forces of heaven, the wonderful, positive forces of heaven to impact him and impact earth. And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. So they're coming in, they're coming out, doing the Lord's bidding, doing whatever it is that God is commanding them to do. And behold, the Lord stood above it. So it's the Lord up there on the top. And he said, I am the Lord. Remember, whenever you see Lord in all caps, that is the divine name. That is Yahweh. That is translated, I am who I am. So that is Yahweh, Jehovah. I am the Lord, not just God, but the Lord. I am the Lord, the God of Abraham your father, and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie I will give to you. See the promise he has already promised in Jacob. Jacob is trying to snatch all the promises for himself. He's sinning and being deceitful, and yet the Lord has already given it to him. How many promises are you trying to snatch for yourself? Because when you start to snatch and grab it, you end up sinning. And it's almost inevitable. When you try to snatch the promises of God, you are going to sin. Rather, you should receive the promises of God and let God give them to you in the right time, to be patient, and to always do what is right and good. Verse 14. He goes on to say, your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth. Well, think about this. Jacob's not even married yet, and yet he's promised him that he's going to have kids, and that he's going to have a lot of them. And his descendants are going to be like the dust of the earth. So again, these are the same wordings. It's the same type of promises that God gave Abraham and that he gave Isaac, and now it is passed on to Jacob. Your offspring shall be like the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the east and to the west and to the north and to the south. And in you and your offspring shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And we know how that one was fulfilled. It's because Jesus Christ was going to come from this line, is going to come from the tribe of Judah, which ultimately comes from Isaac, comes from Jacob. Jacob is going to have 12 children. One of those children is going to be Judah, and from Judah will come Jesus Christ. So all the families of the earth will be blessed. And then God goes on to say, behold, I am with you, and I will keep you wherever you go. I'm going to be with you. I'm never going to forsake you. And that's a promise we can claim as children of God. He's always going to be with us. He's going to keep us no matter where we go. He's going to bring us back to our land. He's going to bring us back to this land, bring us back to our homeland, we could say. For I will not leave you until I have done what I've promised you. God is always going to stay with us until He accomplishes everything He desires to in our life. Verse 16, then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, surely the Lord is in this place, and he doesn't know it. Remember, it's a regular place. It's a normal place. It's an ordinary place until the Lord appears there, and now it's a special place. Jacob didn't realize it. He didn't realize the Lord was there. He was afraid. And anytime we have encounters with the Lord, it is a fearful thing, because the Lord is so powerful, so strong, so awesome. It is that healthy fear of God, fear that results in worship. He says, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. Remember, it's the gate of heaven because He saw angels coming in and out from it. And here's, I want to point this out too. Jacob's going to call in the place Bethel. You see that down here, which actually means house of God. So Beth, it means house. El is God. So Bethel is house of God. You can also think of Bethlehem. Beth means house. Lehem means bread. So Bethlehem means house of bread. So Bethel means house of God. Now, oftentimes, another place, another word for house of God, he calls it also the gate of heaven. And so it was also said that Babel was called the gate of God. And when you put gate of God together, you know what that means? It's Babel. And so that's where you get the word Babel in Babylonia that was used in chapter 11 when humanity built the Tower of Babel. And so this is a reversal of the Tower of Babel. It's the house of God rather than the gate of God. So early in the morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head and set it up for a pillar and poured oil on the top of it. What a good example for us that we should be worshiping the Lord in how he did. Called the name of that place Bethel, but the name of the city was Luz at the first. When Jacob made a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God. And this stone which I have set up for a pillar shall be God's house. And of all that I give you, I will give a full tenth to you. Another good example here, the tithe. This is where we would get the whole idea of a tithe. I think it's a good rule of thumb to give a 10% of things that you have to the Lord and to His services. And of course, even as Christians, God loves generosity. And so you see the second instance of the tithe in the book of Genesis, the first being that with Melchizedek. I pray that's been a blessing to you. I'll see you in the next video.